Back here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by the Home Depot, a white knuckle game for those in Knoxville. Dylan Sampson punches it in, and Tennessee survives the upset at home in overtime, 23-17. Oh my, how the heck did that happen? Back here on CBS Sports HQ, back here with Richard Johnson and B-Mac. Time now for the Doers Playbook, built by the Home Depot. How Doers get more done, breaking down how a team's game plan leads to their success. B-Mac, I'm not sure who we're going to really give a hat tip to here, because I think all three phases need some talking to this week for Josh Heupel, but the defense really bailed him out there in overtime, stopping DJ Lagway because he had it cooking at the end of the game.
The defense, no question for Tennessee, because offensively, we're not seeing Nico cook like he was cooking earlier in the season. He's starting to look in moments, like a freshman. And we knew he would go through growing pains, but the consistency in which we're seeing now, when you look at how they started the season off, it's surprising a lot of people. But in the ball game tonight, you can hang your hat on their defense. They stood up and they made timely plays. But outside of that, Rich, you know, I don't like Florida. I'm a no. But if you don't know anything about Rich, he went to Gainesville. He went to the University of Florida. We watched this game together. There were moments where Billy Napier dropped the ball. Early in the first half, 3-0, Florida controlled the ball game for the entire first half. Had an opportunity to go up 10-0. Graham Mertz fumbles the ball.
On the goal line.
On the goal line. That's the first miscue.
I mean, that's not Billy's fault, but yeah.
You got to find a way to score, but better yet, hold on to the ball. Give yourself another opportunity. I think that was on first down. The second miscue, right before halftime, you had an opportunity, makeable field goal, to go up 6-0. Guess what Florida does? They trotted 12 players on the football field. No timeouts. Penalty happens. Guess what? 10-second runoff. You go into the locker room, no points on the scoreboard added. 3-0 was the score. What was the final score at the end of regulation?
17-all.
Just imagine if you had that 3 points right before halftime. Game over.
Game over.
The through line of Billy Napier's tenure in Gainesville at the University of Florida has been miscues, misoperation. Yep. Particularly on special teams. You will recall the Utah game in Salt Lake City where they had 2 players on the field on special teams wearing the same jersey number. That's a penalty. The special teams penalties have consistently been a thing throughout Billy Napier's tenure. They have not been able to be operationally consistent in that phase of the game. But Florida loses this game, in my opinion, frankly, because they don't go for 2 at the end of regulation. I think that Florida should have gone for 2, and you end the game there. When you have a freshman quarterback,
they lined up in that, Rich. They did line. So
they line up. Tennessee calls the timeout, but it's not like Florida came out in even a stock formation. Florida came out in a special formation, unique formation that you know that you practice for this situation. Okay, Tennessee calls the timeout. You go back out in your regular offense, and you run one of your other 2-point plays on your 2-point menu to win or lose the game. You have a freshman quarterback in Neyland Stadium with 100,000 people, checkerboard Neyland, screaming their heads off. The goal in that situation is not necessarily to play more football in that situation. End it there on a relatively 50-50 proposition, which is what a 2-point play is. And then you get into overtime, and there's a false start, backs him up 5 yards, and takes the field goal. And Trace Mack's a good kicker, but 47 yards, it's a hard field goal.
That's tough.
It's a hard field goal. And then Tennessee gets the ball back, and they dance with the girl that brought him there, which is Dylan Sampson. This Tennessee offense has not been good the last 3 weeks, but Dylan Sampson has at running back. There's a great misnomer about Josh Heupel's offense, and it's that they're too flash, too dash, they don't want to run the ball. Absolutely not. Josh Heupel wants to run the rock, and Dylan Sampson has been doing that. 6.5 yards per carry coming into this game. He has 2 big rushes on what ends up being the game-winning drive for Tennessee in overtime, and the Vols escaped this one. That's the word. So you put these 3 games together, B-Mac. It's the Oklahoma game, which they won, the Arkansas game, which they lost, and then this game, where the offense has, again, not been able to put it in gear. Thank goodness for their defense, or they wouldn't be in this situation.
And I'll say this, guys. Tennessee didn't win this game. Florida lost it.
And more games are lost than are won.
Facts. Facts, and that's the issue. Yeah, Tennessee can care less, but Florida gave this game away because you score any points right before half or in the first half, opportunity where you had a chance to score. This game is over. Your defense was Florida's defense. This was the best they looked the entire season, in my opinion. When you look at their offense not doing anything, but yet and still keeping your team within reach. Anytime Nico tried to own the football field, couldn't get anything going. Yes, Dylan Sampson ran the football well, but that did not generate points. In those moments when you're on the road, you have to find a way to cash in when you're in a position to score. You easily left, 17 points on the board going into halftime. Easily.
Billy Napier's been on the hot seat for 7 weeks. It's week 7. Is this it? Like, we were sitting here waiting. Like, our news desk has already written the script for us. Like, Billy Napier fired in Gainesville. Where are we at on that?
I think the heat is only going to turn up on Billy Napier when they get back to Gainesville tonight. They play Kentucky next week, and then they have a bye week. Absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm not out here calling people. I'm not calling people jobs, but
look,
we've been talking about this for 6 weeks.
This is a place that I know like the back of my hand. And I wrote a story along with Brandon Marcel on CBS Sports a couple weeks ago before they played Mississippi State about the state of play. Part of the problem in Gainesville is that there is, frankly, a leadership vacuum above the athletic director's position. So there are some folks that also want the athletic director gone. Well, you know, who's there to fire him? Because there's an interim president on the university side. So there's a lot of things at play. But there's a lot of boosters, a lot of donors that do not want Billy Napier to continue in this job. And what you saw today is part of the reason why. It's because his decision-making and the procedural mistakes that they have cost them multiple football games since Billy Napier has been in charge. It's not just the Jimmies and Joes, it's the X's and O's.
Okay, so right now through 6 games, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 3-3.
Yep.
Right. Clearly that's a mark most felt like they would not reach in the first 6 games when we analyzed their schedule.
But the problem,
and how difficult it was,
the problem is that these were the games you had to get on Florida's schedule. Because what comes later on Florida's schedule is Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas.
But I think he's going to do just enough. I mean,
what is just enough?
He gone.
Can he get 6 games? Can he get 3 more on this schedule? Can he?
I can't. He's been on the hot seat since July.
And it's been kind of quiet. I mean, okay, 2 losses, the 3rd loss to 3 good teams, right? 3 good teams. Now, when you look at having a loss to a team you probably shouldn't have lost to, you don't see that. Because you lost to Miami. Now, that was the more, I guess, disheartening loss because you weren't competitive.
And it was week 1.
And it was week 1. But since then, when you look at losing to A&M, you lost to a freshman quarterback, but that was a competitive ball game. You looked better. You competed. And then what we saw tonight, losing to Tennessee, you pretty much should have won that ball game. I think he's going to do just enough to keep his seat cool enough to be able to stay there in Gainesville.
No.
I think so.
I disagree with you. Rich, I disagree with BMAC. I think he's done.
I mean, if they keep putting out performances like they have put out tonight, I think we all know how this ends.
Yeah. A ranked Tennessee team improves to 6-1 against an unranked Florida team. The only loss was last season, 29-16. Tennessee, look, they got another big one coming up next week. It's the 3rd Saturday in October. Alabama coming in off of a close win against South Carolina, where South Carolina recovered an onside kick and nearly had a chance to win it. They got an interception. I mean, Alabama and Tennessee is not looking the way Alabama and Tennessee was looking a couple weeks ago. They're both coming in with a little, like I say, stub their toes. But, hey, it's a rivalry matchup. Tennessee will host Alabama next week, a massive game for their implications moving forward.